You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Scottish Football Zone. You've got me tonight hosting, Alexander Cruikshanks, and we've got a cracking panel to discuss Celtic's draw last night in Belgrade against Red Star, and obviously previewing the Rangers game tonight. First of all, we've got a regular on the show, Robbie Collins. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, Alex. Decent night of European football last night. Obviously, Celtic picking up a point in their opening game. Tonight is, obviously, as you know, Alex, being the fan, a very big night for Russell Martin, Rangers, and the whole club. You know, there's a lot of talk going on right now. It's been the same talk we've been hearing for weeks. So I feel like this is a good chance for Rangers to go and get 3 points and really kickstart their season, I'd say, for now.
Yeah, absolutely. And our second member of the panel tonight, a very special guest. He is on the Kelly View. He's a part of mine and Ethan's podcast, The Dugout. He hosts HBSA Radio every single week. It's Laurie Finlayson. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, that's one heck of a plug, Alex. Thank you very much. It's good to be here on the Scottish Football Zone tonight. You know, talking all things, Scottish club against the Belgian club. Something I, know quite well from supporting my own club last summer. Got to watch Kilmarnock play a Belgian side, but of course not the side who Rangers face tonight. But anyway, Alex, good to be on and looking forward to this.
Yeah. It's always good to get back into the swing of things with Europe as well. And we'll start on Celtic last night. They went away to Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda, if you want to go with the Serbian pronunciation, getting the 1-1 draw. They took the lead through Kelechi Iheanacho, and then former Stoke City, West Ham and Inter Milan striker Marko Arnautovic equalised before trying to scrap William Scales. So, Robbie, what did you make of the game overall and Celtic's performance?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, although it was a good point, and I will make that clear, it was a good point for Celtic. It was a good start. I felt like a really missed opportunity. I don't know about you guys. I felt Celtic controlled the game quite well, actually kept majority of possession for most of the game, to be honest with you. Obviously, it's a really nice finish from Iheanacho. I think in the first half, you could see what Celtic were trying to go for. They had a lot of pace up front. They were trying to keep possession at the back, but when they hit it forward, try to transition into attacking areas quickly. I thought they'd done that all right in the first half, but I think the changes made the game. Iheanacho's finish was just superb, and I know he had a lot of space in that area, but I felt like he didn't have much time when the ball got drilled into his feet. So he turned that quickly and put that finish in, was really good. Arnautovic, obviously scoring, as you mentioned, Alex, had a lot of experience. He was always going to be a big threat against Celtic. It was about how they sort of combated facing against him. I thought guys like Duarte had a really good game as well. I thought they were causing a few problems in the attacking area. So, I think a draw was fair, probably, but it did feel like a bit of a chance missed for Celtic. I feel like if they are that bit more aggressive, that putting a bit more pressure on them, I felt like they could have walked away with the 3 points.
Yeah, definitely. Seeds, just before we discuss this game a bit further, the Rangers team has just come out for tonight, so I'll read that out and then we'll quickly discuss the Celtic game, maybe for 5-10 more minutes, and then we'll jump into the game tonight. But Rangers starting 11 is Jack Butland, James Tavernier, John Souttar, Derek Cornelius, Jada Magoma, Nicholas Raskin, back-to-back starts, Mohamed Diomande, Taylor Asgard, Mikey Moore, Diego Gassama, and making his first start for Rangers, the £8 million man, Yusuf Chermiti, gets the nod tonight in Europe, Laurie, and that's a big call from Russell Martin.
Yeah, it's a big, bold call, but if you're Russell Martin, when you're under pressure, under the cosh, a bit of a boss, I think that's what you've got to do at this point, is back your own player, back your own signing, and Chermiti is someone who, I'll be honest, I can say that I've not seen very much of, but I mean, £8 million quid, I mean, no pressure, no that, especially being flung into the baptism of fire at Ibrox on a European night, so it's good luck to him. But it's one of these ones where it's a brave call, as you say. He could have went with tried and tested options, maybe the likes of a Bojan Miovski. To be fair, knows Scottish football a bit better, less so with Rangers. But I mean, he had played in Europe, maybe more used to that sort of position. But I think Chermiti will be an interesting proposition tonight. So we'll see how that one pans.
Alex, I'd love to know for your point of view. I'm looking at I'm looking at Chermiti up front, and I'm seeing £8 million as Laurie quite rightly pointed out. That's a big call for Russell, and I think he does have a lot of expectation to live up to. But as a Rangers fan looking at this game, you probably want goals. Chermiti's goal record's not something to probably show off and flaunt a bit. It's been quite poor. So I mean, what's your thoughts on the
team? I'm kind of happy with the team overall. I'm happy, maybe except from Chermiti. It is a very big call, and you rightly said, Robbie, his goal record in his senior career is honking. I think he's got 3 senior goals or something like that. So it's not great, but when you come in for that price tag at a club like Rangers, you should be playing games, you should be starting games, and I just hope he can back it up. He missed a chance at the weekend that maybe you'd expect him to finish through 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper against Hibs, and he just hit it at him. So not the best shot selection either. In that scenario, you'd maybe look to put it in sort of lift it a little bit, put it in the midriff of the goalkeeper, or lift it over him. So he hits it right at his leg, which isn't great. But I'm open to seeing how he does tonight, and hopefully he can spearhead the team towards a good performance overall. I'm aware we're a bit all over the place here, but it's just I thought when the Rangers team came out, I should read it. But back to Celtic last night, Laurie, who I thought had an especially good game. I know you said you watched the highlights. I don't know if you've seen much of him, but the youngster, Colby Donovan, continues to impress, and he had a decent game last night.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I've seen too much of him last night specifically. However, when Celtic beat Rugby Park, there a week there, he was starting in that game, and I did think he looked quite impressive. And I mean, Celtic aren't a team known for putting faith in youngsters, and neither is Brendan Rodgers, full stop. But to be fair, maybe Brendan's hand in sports a little bit, but Colby Donovan has acquitted himself rather well, and doing it on European stage, doing it somewhere that's notoriously so intimidating as Belgrade is incredibly, positive if you're a Celtic fan, or just a supporter of Scottish football, because it's good to see young players breaking through. Because a lot of the time as fans, we bemoan our clubs for not nurturing young talent properly. So to see someone get their chance, but it's half the battle, and then appear to be taking it is really encouraging.
Yeah, Robbie, right now I think Celtic have a couple that, as Scottish football fans, we're looking at and hoping that they get the opportunities. Colby Donovan, I think Dane Murray's the other one that's impressed so far this season. So yeah, hopefully they can actually get games and they won't fade into the background like so many in the past.
I hope so. Donovan's performance last night setting to go, but I think we'll probably see him more, to be honest with you. That's not taking away anything for some of the Celtic defenders that are already at the club, but I suppose it's a bit of Scottish bias that I want to see these guys back into the lineup. Alex, we know Michael spent a long time on this show wanting these players to be put into the team, so I'm sure he was delighted that Donovan played so well. And if I'm Brendan Rodgers, I'm not too sure who Celtic have at the weekend, but whoever they have, I don't see why these Celtic fans and Rodgers want to be thinking about starting them in that game as well. Give him another opportunity, let him go, get more minutes, and the more minutes he gets, the better he's going to become. And they already looked very good, as Laurie pointed out, in a really intimidating stadium where the atmosphere can feel like it's right on top of you. He handled himself superb. So
yeah, absolutely. And no offense to Anthony Ralston, but he's not going to go past the level that he's at. I don't think there's bags of potential there for Colby Donovan to reach really high heights, and could set us up in the future for Scotland as well to have a good bit of depth in the right back position. Obviously, the two maybe main right backs who you would go to if they were fully fit aren't often fully fit. Aaron Hickey's just back. Nathan Patterson's been struggling with injuries as well. So if we can put another one into the mix, that would be massively beneficial.
I think so. Am I right in saying Colby Donovan can play centre back as well?
I'm not going to
Yeah.
claim to be an expert on him, but that would be great as well, because we do need centre backs also. So
We do, I think.
yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, from a
Sorry,
Scotland
Laurie,
perspective, we definitely just kind of jump in on that. From a Scotland perspective, we certainly do need defenders. So if you can play centre back, that would be great. But I think, like, you make the point quite well, and it's no disrespect to Anthony Ralston, who, let's be clear, gets a lot of criticism from Celtic fans, from Scotland fans, and a bit of ridicule from Scottish football. Some of it is unfair. Here's a guy who will work hard, whatever, but not to the level Celtic need, especially in Europe. And as you say, guys probably reached his ceiling, whereas we don't really know where Colby Donovan's ceiling is, having only just turned 19, At this point, the sky's the limit for him, really.
Yeah, definitely. Back to the game tonight. Rangers play the second Belgian side in their season this season. Hopefully, it's a bit better than the other game. But I've actually got the Genk lineup. There's a couple of interesting ones in there. The first one is the goalkeeper's called Van Crom Bruges, spelled Brugge. So hopefully that's not a bad omen there. And then the rest of the team is Ditu, Schmetz, Sadiq, El-Awadi, who has scored 4 goals from right back this season, Heenan, Bangura, Hrosky, Medina, former Celtic striker and Stuckers makes up the Genk team. However, Laurie, you might think on paper without really realising that, without really looking into it, that this is a really tough game for Rangers. But if you look closely into Genk's form, they've had a very similar start to Rangers this season. They haven't started well at all. So it's a tale of two teams who are maybe expected to be better in their domestic divisions.
Yeah, I think it very much makes for an interesting game, though, Alexander, I would say. So, I mean, 8 games and 8 points so far for Genk, and they're down in 14th in the Belgian Pro League, which is really not what you expect, of course. 3 of the kind of big hitters of Belgium at the top, of course, Union Saint-Gilloise, who Rangers fans will remember, Anderlecht, and the blue and black team from Bruges. I'm not going to say our names, I don't want to traumatise too many Rangers fans on here, right? But the thing is, Genk are sides who will still find their chance across the season, but Rangers will be the same, as you say, there's a lot of parallels there. I mean, it's not the start they would have wanted, but if you look, maybe they have tried to prioritise Europe. You could argue, I don't know. I mean, if you look at the pre-season for what it's worth, they're like drawing with like Rayo Vallecano, who were in La Liga at one stage, and they have already played and beaten Anderlecht this season. And one of the other games I've had, or some of the other games you've had, Club Bruges, who beat them 2-1. They've lost to Standard Liège. They've played Anderlecht again and drew, so you kind of feel that maybe it's a little bit of a false position. I'm not trying to scare anyone, but it's one of these where maybe they've been trying to prioritise Europe, and maybe they've been unlucky for the fixtures have fell. But I think Rangers as well will find their chances, because over the years, even when they've been out of form, they've always turned up on a Thursday night, especially at a packed Ibrox. I'm assuming it's going to be full tonight, even though Saturday certainly wasn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I felt I'm not 100% sure on that. I think I've seen maybe some fans might be boycotting the game. They're probably, I've not seen any organisation, but there'll probably be more unorganised protests tonight.
Yeah.
That was certainly a sight to see on Saturday with all the colourful balls getting thrown onto the pitch. I was surprised actually, Robbie, that Russell Martin didn't do an interview after the game and go, I didn't see the balls on the pitch. I didn't see the banners, and I didn't see all the fans congregating outside the ground.
I think you could, I mean, to be fair, I think looking at the TV cameras, I think you could probably see the face of defeat in Russell Martin, to be honest, when that happened. I think it just looked like I want to give up, to be honest with you. But he's here, first proper Europa League game, and you were talking about the Genk team there, and obviously O's probably the main talking point for a Scottish football standpoint, as he used to play with Celtic. And Alex, we were on the Deadline Day show a few weeks ago talking about, some of the mental prices that these Genk fans were flinging about for Owen, some of the bids that were apparently going to come in for him. So it'll be interesting to see if he lives up to that expectation tonight. Obviously, at Celtic, it wasn't, setting the stars alight. It wasn't great, but it'll be interesting to see what he can sort of muster up tonight and see what sort of problems it can cause the Rangers defence.
Yeah, I find that kind of strange because even he didn't set it like Celtic, but even at Genk, he's not been ridiculously good. He scored 14 goals in 50 appearances over his last season and a bit at Genk. So I'm not 100% sure what Stuttgart saw. And maybe they were just trying to, that case of, when you get pocket money and you need to spend it as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So after the Voltamada sale, they were trying to just get it spent and go, who can we get? And they went in for O. But yeah, it will be interesting to see what he can do tonight, going up against a Rangers backline that for the better part of the whole season has looked really shaky. But we alluded to it earlier, Laurie. This is a real opportunity for Rangers to build on their win at the weekend, because it can only take one bad result for it to turn completely sour again. I think a little bit of pressure has been alleviated, but Russell Martin needs to build on this, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like starting tonight, this is quite a big opportunity for Russell Martin, because if you look at the games Rangers have coming up, a trip to Livingston on the Classic, sadly it's not at Tony Mackey anymore. Then from Graz away in Europa League, we have also got Falkirk and Dundee United, Falkirk being away from home again on the plastic surface. I mean, if they can handle synthetic turf and get some results on the road, Rangers' league position will still not be where they want it to be. But it's not been a great start for Rangers at all. That's being very diplomatic. But I think nights like tonight what maybe get some of the fans not quite on side and maybe not quite away from protesting outside the Ibrox. But it's nice that tonight actually start to galvanise the fan base together. I mean, even if you look when Rangers were struggling like last season under Clement before obviously the management fiasco happened where Barry Ferguson etc. came in. It was the European night that kept Rangers together. Just look at the games against Man United where Rangers really did give a good goal. That can be achieved even with a similar Rangers side to this in Europe. And Genk on paper, aren't doing brilliant, as you've said, that's very similar to Rangers, but I think they'll do the same way, because I think both sides will smell blood tonight, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just got a couple of quotes from Russell Martin from his press conference the other day. So he was asked about sort of like the difficult start to the season, and he was saying being a head coach or manager of any club is not easy. There's always so many opinions because of the level of interest in this game and what it does to people. how much it means to people. I've actually, in a perverse way, enjoyed that as well. I think you have to try and find enjoyment in everything. Robbie, what do you make of that? Do you think that's more of him just trying to shift any scrutiny off him and going, we're actually doing all right here?
I think so, to be honest with you. I mean, it's very interesting words for Russell Martin indeed. Like he is at this point, he's just trying to do it and to get yourself that bit more time, that, you know, but gain yourself a bit more leniency in the role. When look, tonight's a very different game compared to the Saturday. I mean, look, Alex, I'm not going to try and underwhelm Rangers' performance versus Hibs, but I don't think either team looked fantastic, to be honest with you. I thought Rangers got the job done, won the game, got themselves through to the semi-final, but I don't think Rangers look like Rangers that we maybe know at home in, you know, previous seasons. I think there's still a lot of work to do, so I think tonight is a big game for the Europe standpoint, you know, try to build that momentum, but Saturday's a big game for a completely different reason. You know, this needs to be Rangers' start. This needs to be them getting back to business in the league to finally get that first league win of the season, because the longer that goes on, that you've not won a game, the longer the dread just keeps hanging over you, no matter how well you're doing in other competitions.
Yeah, definitely. It can. I think he's just irritated me all season. You know what I mean? With his pressers, guys. From an outside perspective, is he one of like the most car crash managers you've seen in Scottish football in terms of his media?
Aye, for me in recent years, and Robbie, you can give your take as well. For me in recent years, yeah. From an outside perspective, one of the quotes that I loved from Russell Martin a few weeks ago, I don't remember it verbatim, so I do apologise, but he basically was saying about how he was asked by a reporter what's improved at Rangers since you came in, and then he was talking about how the staff have claimed that certain things have improved and all that. But he basically said in a roundabout way that nothing has improved. That's the thing, he tries to remove any blame from himself. And I'm not saying all of the blame lies with him, but of course it's one of these ones where, and Robert, you touched on this, he is very good at deflecting blame. Although what I will say from the comments you read out leading up to this game, Alex, I do quite like the kind of thing of him talking about, you know, enjoying the pressure. Yeah, maybe kind of like kind of backwards thinking in a way. But then arguably the textbook answer is just something you say. And then one of the most farcical things over his entire tenure is his trip to the bonny banks of Loch Lomond, as Ryan Niven, thank you for listening, alludes to here. I mean, what do we all think of the trip to Loch Lomond, guys?
That was mental.
It was something to be fair to Russell Martin. Sorry, Alec. I mean, look, it probably is one of the most car crash managers, and look, the only close second I can think off the top of my head is Lee Johnson and some of his post-match press conferences, because some of them were absolutely brilliant. I mean, there was one where he was talking about sharks and all sorts for him at his time, so I think he's probably a close second. But I mean, look, the Loch Lomond thing for me, I don't know if, Alex, I think you might have actually said this to me, but I don't know if it maybe just get taken a bit out of proportion because the way Rangers are playing and the way they were playing before that trip, you know, but I don't think, certainly I don't think Martin helped himself taking them to such a public spot where, you know you're going to get photographed and you know there's going to be attention written over you in that sort of sense. It felt a bit at the wrong time for me, personally.
Yeah, definitely. Off of the back of the start where we'd seen nothing, and then it just felt like a weird thing he was trying to do. Team bonding session. Yeah, it wasn't the right time in a public sort of setting. I don't know what else he could have done. Maybe taking them to like a private pool or something. I don't know if he wanted to go for a swim. Maybe it was about being out in nature or whatever. But yeah, what are you saying, Robin?
There's got to be other locks where it's not as public, because you know Loch Lomond's probably one of the biggest in Scotland, so I'd imagine there's probably other locks in the middle of nowhere where he probably could have took the players, and it was a bit more private, and you wouldn't keep
Well, saying that though, if you're Rangers, you're going to get photographs everywhere you go. It kind of comes with the attention. But the thing is, maybe I'm being a traditionalist, but seeing the state Rangers are in, and maybe Alex, you're best to stand for this, right? Would you not rather it just got back to basics at Murray Park?
Yeah, just well, apparently they've been class in training, like world beaters. Apparently they're the best team ever in training every single day. But yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure, like, I don't know, Renfrew's under 12s could look world beaters in training, you know what I mean? Like, it's no, I think every team looks good in training because that's just the way it happens. I mean, it is, look, I do think there's talent in there, Alex, and I know there's been a lot of talk about players and stuff like that, but I genuinely think some of the boys in there are really, really good players. They're just not proving it on the pitch right now.
I know it was Moldova, but Telo Arsgaard scored 4 goals, and to score 4 goals in any sort of professional football game is an achievement. You have to be a decent player to do that, you know, because if you didn't, and teams, and every time somebody came up against a team of like much lesser quality, the centre backs and the goalkeepers would be scoring for, you know what I mean. So yeah, he has to be decent. I've just got a little building on the quote that I read to you, just about that stuff about enjoying it. And he said, and I've said to the players and the staff, it counts for us as well as individuals. The amount of growth that can come from this and this difficult period could be brilliant for everyone, and myself included. So we just have to keep working, do what we believe in, and trust that the outcome will be positive. So it's another great quote from Russell Martin there, just saying, yeah, it's all good. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. We don't need to change anything, as he said. And I think when he first came in, it was to do Plan B, was to do Plan A better. And do you think that, Robbie? Sorry, Laurie. On you go, son.
I was just saying, Alex, you were saying that one of the last times we spoke about Plan B being do Plan A better. Well, Plan A should be out the window because you've tried Plan A since June and it hasn't really paid off. But he is one of these guys who's very stuck on a tactical philosophy. We all seen that, even at Southampton. I mean, and we all seen what he was like. Even in the Premier League when they were struggling, he still tried to play expansive football. And let's be honest, they got relegated. Yes, they brought a guy in, but I mean, the damage was done before Martin left the building. And of course, it's one of these where Rangers recruited him based on who he played in the Championship a couple of years ago. That doesn't work in the SPFL, I wouldn't say. And then there's an argument that it'll work even less effectively in Europe. Time will tell tonight. I mean, we are what 40?
Yeah.
Are we about 45 minutes away from kick off almost? So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But yeah.
I think one of the most concerning things for me this season, and I've talked it to death, but it keeps happening, is how open Rangers are at the back. I mean, anyone could, any team with a bit of pace could hit on the counter. I mean, Laurie, Denario Daniels would be licking his lips coming up. I know he's a big guy, but he's pacey as well, you know. And he'd be licking his lips coming up against that back line. Hunter's a space for him to go into, and he's not a bad finisher either. I mean, Martin Boyle managed to exploit that at the weekend.
Yeah.
The goal was rightfully ruled out for handball, but yeah, it seems like a very, you know, crazy way to play, because there's absolutely no cover.
It's almost, and Robbie, you can come in here as well, but it's like watching it from the outside, it almost feels like Rangers and Russell Martin are just like playing roulette almost, and just gambling all the time. And yes, maybe Martin Boyle, who used an example of Alex, he's maybe not as quick as he once was, and he's getting on a bit, but he's still pretty sharp and quite switched on. So why would Rangers want to set up in such like a risky and frankly quite naive way? I don't know.
Aye, and I think it's always as well. You look at the Rangers two centre backs. They're not the quickest centre backs in the world. I thought Sutter's good. I mean, you watch him for Scotland for 90 minutes, and we all know he's a really good centre back in the way Scotland play. But the way Russell Martin seems to set up, it just does not suit guys like Sutter at all. And I think that is the biggest Rangers problem right now. The defence just looks so unorganised, so out of shape all the time. As you said, Alex, there's always open gaps, and that's always been something you say with Russell Martin. This isn't new to me. The success he had over done in England was all well and good, but even when he was in the Premier League, you've seen a lot of open space there as well. That's why Southampton conceded so many goals. There was a lot of open space and a lot of time for attackers to run in behind the defence, and it seemed to be a recurring problem. So it doesn't shock me that this is the way it's happening at Rangers. But I thought he would have had a wee bit more adaptability at this point and maybe switch it up and try a bit harder to try and knuckle down that defence and play a different sort of way than he is playing, because it's not worked so far. So I mean, tonight is going to be a big night for that defence.
Yeah, absolutely, and if you looked, I remember the running story when he was in Southampton was in the Premier League. With Southampton, was everyone was talking about how they had like the highest average possession in the league, but they couldn't do anything with it. And I'm not sure about the possession stats the Rangers have had this season, but I'm pretty certain that it's similar because we have the ball a lot. We can't do anything with it. We get caught on the counter. The gaps are open. It looks like we're disorganised. If you look at the Hearts goal a couple of weeks ago, the first one, the organisation at the back was absolutely dreadful. I mean, how Claudio Braga was allowed to look up and turn and pick out Shankland was criminal from the Rangers backline. And you'll come up against quality in Europe. It can be really, really. They'll punish you. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. They'll punish you, just like we saw against Club Brugge. They punished the defensive mistakes in both legs, and obviously Genk, they're maybe not the level of Club Brugge, although they were in and around the title race for a long period last season. I think they fell away during the weird split the Belgian league have. It's even weirder than ours, if you believe it or not. It's more complicated, I'm sure if Rangers give Genk these opportunities, they will punish them.
Yeah, and Alex, just to back you up on what you were saying, so I just went and looked there at the game Rangers had against Hearts that you alluded to. To back up your point, Rangers had overall 66% possession, of course, leaving Hearts with 34. Just to obviously, go on the counter attack. The reality is that's what most Scottish teams want to do. You were talking about maybe the likes of Gennaro Daniels of Kilmarnock or Martin Boyle of Hibs. That is what these teams want. That, especially if you're at Ibrox, your aim is to go on the counter attack and nick a goal pretty much. So you're playing in people's hands.
Yeah, and I'm sure the likes of Dan Ellendulu will be licking his lips at the back line as well, Robbie. He's quite quick, isn't he?
Very quick, aye, mate. I think he's probably quicker than I initially thought, to be honest with you. But even when we played Jesus in Paisley all the weeks back, I mean, Ayunga and Mandron was running that defence torrid, and they're not the quickest strikers by a long shot in this league. So I mean, just it's...
I think I went on a rant on here about how can you let John Ayunga get played in off a through ball and go in on the goalkeeper. That is absolutely mental. Pace is not one of the assets in his game. I mean, he's not a slouch, but he's not rapid.
Oh, he's certainly not quick. But I mean, I know first that was a game where I believe was it Dijiga's debut, and Ciala's debut. I can't remember what one played in that game, but it was I think one of their debuts. And I don't think they're impressed, to be honest with you. But that was a bit mental. But tonight, I mean, look, as far as I can see with Genk, and I don't watch them weekly or far from it, it looks like they're lining up with a front two. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of combats the Rangers' defence and how they sort of play. I mean, I don't remember too much his time at Celtic. I think he's decently paced, and I'm not sure about the other striker. So we'll need to wait and see.
He's very physical. He's very. That's what I remember about him, because it stuck out to me how kind of big he was, and he is a physical striker. So I'd imagine that would be his job, to sort of maybe rough up the defence. And Stickers or I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm aware of him, and he's got quality. So I'd imagine O's job would maybe to be get on the ball, batter into the defenders a little bit, draw them to him, and open it up slightly for the other attacking threats.
Well, we know Cornelius has played in a few big games now, especially internationally. Obviously, scored that free kick in the last international break, which was just a beautiful hit. It'll be interesting to see how he sort of steps into this landscape, because, you know, if things don't go well this first 15-20 minutes, you can only imagine how the fans are going to react in the stands. I mean, they've already had enough stuff. If things are going poorly, and let's say, just for talking sake, Genk score an early goal, the pressure's really, really on Rangers at that point.
Yeah.
It's always been from the outside. It's always been notorious. You know, Rangers fans will turn, and sometimes that's overblown by the media, right? However, you've seen it this season quickly. The Rangers fans will kind of go. I'm not going to say against the team. That's a little bit far, but you hear the animosity. You can see it, and Alex, if you don't understand the Ibrox, you can probably almost feel it, let alone hear it.
Sorry, did you? I think you froze for a wee second there, mate.
So I was just saying, like, the kind of at Ibrox, when the crowd kind of starts getting our teams back, if you can say whatever. I mean, it's not even just a case of going against the team or the manager. It's a case of you feel it in the stands, and I'm really you feel it on the pitch as well as hear it, and you know better than anyone, Alex, being in there.
Yeah, it can get very hostile and toxic, and when it gets like that, even as a supporter, it's not an enjoyable place to be. And I think everyone feeds off the negative energy from each other. And it can become bad, and I'd imagine for players it's not great. I know, you know, a few of the experienced boys will maybe have learned to just kind of block it out or let it wash over them, but the likes of Yusuf Chermiti, I don't know. I shouldn't be making assumptions, because he's just in the door. I've not seen enough of him, but to me, he strikes me as a guy that if he'll crumble under pressure.
Yes.
And maybe I think Jada Magoma stood up to it quite well so far. Nasser Giga, I think he's showing crumbles under pressure. What are you saying, Robbie?
I was just to say, I feel bad for the player. I feel bad for Mikey Moore. That boy's come in and he's had all, you know, the media headlights of the next great thing at Tottenham, and, you know, he's sort of meant to be this next huge player. And I just think, to be honest, in my opinion, I think the atmosphere's maybe intimidated him a wee bit. The way it's went so far at Rangers maybe has meant he's not got after a good start. I don't think, in my opinion, he's looked impressive in many of the games, to be honest. So I think tonight is another big night for him as well. I mean, he'll need to step up to the plate. I think when Rangers want to try and use that sort of width, as far as I'm aware, Genk are going to be playing a 5 at the back. So I think they maybe want to try and utilise their wingers a bit more. And Mikey Moore need to step right back up to the plate, because it's a very big night for Rangers.
Yeah, he's come in with a lot of hype. The Tottenham fans love him. They think he is the next big thing. But I think that might bring us to a case of, you know, loan players coming down from the big clubs in England and people thinking they'll school it. And it's not necessarily true, because although, you know, we're nowhere near the quality of the Premier League, this is a man's league. It's grown men, a lot of them. A lot of them are extremely physical. I mean, you just need to look at Robbie's team. The pinnacle of physicality, I think, probably the most physical team in the division, St Mirren. It can be difficult for young players. I mean, another Rangers example is Amad Diallo. who came up to Scotland, was rubbish. He started toughening up towards the end, started getting back in the team a little bit more. Then he was absolutely magnificent at Sunderland, and now he's one of the major players. And granted, a rubbish Man United team, but before he couldn't get a game for Rangers. So maybe it is. Do you think it's a case of maybe these clubs and maybe the players themselves underestimating the quality of our division and how difficult it is to play in it?
I think. Oh, sorry, on you go, Laurie.
No, as you can go as well. I feel like you and I are probably in a good position to talk about this as well, Robbie, because and Rangers fans too, but you often feel like Scottish clubs do rely on a lot of like English Premier League youngsters of varying qualities, and some of them come up here and you think, how are you even in the under 21 of a Premier League team? You kind of do think you question why some are there, but then obviously Mikey Moore, Robbie, as you alluded to, comes with a lot of hype. Some of it is justified because you've seen him, perform well in Europe, mind you, for Spurs, and then as well, if you're a player, a football manager, you'll know that Mikey Moore turned out to be brilliant. I know that's not always an oracle for finding out the best player. There's a few crackers in football manager history. I mean, Mark Kerr was in the old Bolton early noughties. That was usually one of the best wonder kids in the game. And as good as he got was probably Dundee United. So, they don't always come up with good talents, but I think the physicality and the way the Scottish game is does intimidate some players. Because I think if you come from Premier League 2, say, and go to the SPL, you get a little bit of a reality show. Even if you look at attacking players, like, there's some of them can be like top scorers in the Premier League 2, and then not have a bundle in Scotland, and then end up back down south at a lower level than what they started. So it's actually tougher than these players think sometimes.
Laurie, I think
does well though.
I think the three of us would make an effective front three in Premier League 2 based on some of the goal records, and then they go elsewhere and they're absolutely garbage. But I'm just going to pop up a wee comment here. We were talking about fan pressure and stuff from the Slabber and Cabbage. Maybe, guys, do you think the Rangers players like the fans? That's quite interesting, isn't it, to speculate on?
It is actually.
I think there's Rangers players that respect the fans' point of view. One player in particular, Jack Butland, always seems to go out and speak to the fans, no matter if it's a win, loss, or a draw. He's done that this season. It's hard to sort of answer that question. I think it is quite a tough one, but I think every Rangers player, and obviously we don't know how they're going to be feeling inside that dressing room, but I think they probably feel for the fans. I think they probably know it's not been good enough. They probably feel like they have let the fan base down. They feel like they probably can perform better. They should be in a better position than they are right now. So, I don't think like's maybe the right word, but I think a lot of them do respect why the fans are frustrated.
I think it's good from outside. Obviously, quite good to see. You mentioned him, Jack Butland. Good that we named him. I think the fact that he's been, engaging with the fans still after the game, I think that's great. But it's very rare in football that you see players actually willing to show faith after defeat, and I think it's quite admirable. Whether more of the players would do it than our thing. Whether the players like the fans is back to the original question. Well, I think some of them might actually feel a bit, listening to the lone players, might actually feel a wee bit intimidated by it. But then it gets back to what Russell Martin said in the press. Glasgow, and Scottish football generally, but Glasgow in particular, is an absolute cauldron, and you see, you see this all the time. If you look at a lot of Glasgow City lives and breathes football, it's almost like you see like the northeast of England. Not to directly compare it, it's where football is life in these cities, and that's what nothing can really prepare you for. To be fair to the Rangers players.
Yeah, absolutely. A wee Danny Rojas quote there from Laurie Finlayson, quoting Ted Lasso on the Scottish Football Zone.
Yeah.
We love to see it. But I think as well, see, when you're talking about players that respect the fans, maybe on the fans' side as well, I think one that is kind of shown his character by sort of refusing a move and saying he wants to stay and fighting back into the team after being ostracised. And big story tonight, making back-to-back starts, is Nico Raskin. Just want to talk about him for a minute. I'll come to you first, Robbie. How insane is it that Russell Martin's left out his best player for this long?
Alex, you spoke about international teams and fellow Asgard. What about Raskin's international stage for Belgium? I mean,
Yeah,
phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, De Bruyne was out giving him such high praise, which he didn't today. So it's baffling to me. It really is. And obviously, again, we don't know everything that's happened backstage. We don't know what Raskin's been like. We don't know what Martin's been like in that situation. All we can assume now is, though, everything's fixed and Raskin's 100% focused on his football. And I think you need to play him now. It's last chance to learn for Martin. I think he's learned that you need to play your best players when it matters, and he played them at the weekend. And I actually thought Raskin done all right, in my opinion, to be honest with you, against Hibs. And now he starts him again tonight, and it won't surprise me if he starts against Livingston at the weekend either. Just to drop another Ted Lasso quote, by the way, I think the Rangers players need to show a lot of belief tonight to go in and get the win, because times will get tough at Ibrox. The fans will probably get toxic throughout the game, so I think they need to be at their best and go and try and get the 3 points.
yeah, and if they receive any abuse, they just all need to be goldfish. But Laurie, just on sort of Raskin and what Robbie said, have you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think if you're Russell Martin, effectively alienating your best player for whatever reason, it's just kind of setting yourself up to fail. And I think, to be fair, I actually think Russell Martin realised that maybe it's because the pressure's on him, but the fact that Nico Raskin comes straight back in and gets himself a score sheet against Hibs kind of tells you all you need to know. And I'm quite sure in his celebration as well, it turned to the fans, don't know if like, hitting the badge on his chest or whatever. I remember he's just going to gesticulate towards the fans, which I think says that Raskin is very much doing it for the fans. Whether he did it for Martin, time will tell. But I'm sure from a Rangers perspective, it's good to have him back. I mean, if Kevin De Bruyne rates you, you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, maybe Kevin De Bruyne will put a good word in at Napoli, and then Nico Raskin will have the privilege of playing with the 18th best player in the world. Factual, he's better than Jude Bellingham by at least 5 positions. Scott McTominay, got that sidetracked there. But well, see, since I mentioned that, how mad is that? That Scott McTominay. Imagine someone told you 2 years ago Scott McTominay would be 18th in the Ballon d'Or rankings.
He's fantastic. He actually is. He's such a pleasure to watch. At Man United, obviously didn't go well. Still thought Man United played him absolutely dreadfully. Every manager played him in a place happily when they play him, but they obviously know more than me. But what I would say is it's interesting that every Man United manager kept him on. Every Manchester United manager, when he was at the club, wanted to play him in every game. It just shows they all seen something in him. And obviously he's went on some run for Scotland as well. And as I said earlier, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch. So I'm not surprised he's that high up the list, to be honest.
Yeah, and I'll just say as well, Scott McTominay, it's great to see for him because, and you say it, Robbie, 'cause I mean he's came through at United at a young age. We've all seen the photo of like I don't know, primary school age Scott McTominay and Sir Alex Ferguson together. We've all seen that, and that's great. But the guy who take a lot of credit for McTominay's rise, that was Steve Clarke. And McTominay himself has said this about like the fact that it was him that moved them further forward, and we saw how it went for Scotland. And he was talking about, being a bit frustrated at Man United, not playing and whatever, and then he plays well for Scotland, gets in the United team, starts scoring a bit for United, and then ends up obviously going to Napoli and all the rest of it, and doing incredible stuff out there. And of course, speaking of Napoli, Billy Gilmore on Monday night scored his first senior club goal as Napoli played Pisa as well. So there you go.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously, if we're talking about Scots smashing it in Italy, Lennon Miller got his first goal for Udinese and his first start for the club after he made his debut at the weekend against the AC Milan. He played in the Cup on Tuesday and got a goal there as well. So it's been a good week for the Scots, and it's been fantastic. But hopefully for the Scottish teams, it will be a successful week in Europe for them, because obviously Celtic, I'd say it was a decent point last night, but Rangers at home, they should be looking for the win. I think just before we leave off, I'll come to you guys for some predictions for the game, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Robbie, I'll come to you first. What is your prediction for Rangers versus Genk this evening?
Yeah, I'm going to go a wee bit more detailed than usual. I'm going to go Genk are winning 2-0 at half time. Rangers come back and win the game 3-2, but that is 2 red cards in the game.
Okay.
Wow.
Have you got any players in particular in mind for the red cards or the goals?
I think Diomande might get sent off at some point during the match. I think Chamiti might score 2. I think Raskin might score.
Wow. I can see Diamande getting sent off, by the way, because he's been a bit rough recently. I don't know if you've noticed, but I feel like he's been flying into a lot of challenges recently, and he's been a bit rougher in his play. So I could maybe see that. Wow. I think Ethan and Reagan got their predictions for the game spot on last night. Or no, maybe Reagan went with 2 each, but Ethan went with 1 each, and he got that correct for the Red Star game. So we've got a lot to live up to. Laurie, is your prediction as detailed and as mental as that, or are you just going to go with a simple scoreline?
I was just going to go with a simple score, and you know what? I still will, but best of luck with that detailed one, Robbie. I'm really not too sure how it's going to pan out, so I'm going to sit on the fence with these two teams and very similar starts. Rangers 2, Genk 2.
Wow, okay. Well, I got 2 of the League Cup scorelines bang on last week, and I predicted all 4 teams to progress, so I am the oracle. By the way, Robbie, you wouldn't believe this. On the dugout, I predicted 2 each and St Mirren to win on penalties.
He did, by the way. He did. I can back it up that he did do that.
Alex finally backs St Mirren in a game of football. I'm in disbelief.
Yeah, well, I did. I backed them, and they went through. So tonight, I'm going to use my powers again, and I'm going to go with 8. No, I'm going to go with 3-1 to Rangers. Yusuf Chermiti hat-trick. I'm going to go with. That's my details, and I'm going to go with Russell Martin. I'm going to go with Russell Martin to get a red card.
That would be Chamiti's best overall goal record in his senior career, wouldn't it?
Aye, double it, mate.
I would actually, double it.
Yeah, you know, you just have to put faith in him. Otherwise, it's got to be. He's the second highest signing ever, and after Torre Andre Flo, and that was 25 years ago. So. Yeah, it's massive. It's a massive fee that the Rangers have paid for him. So he needs to live up to the expectation, and he is going to start tonight. But thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Thank you to my two panel members tonight, Robbie and Laurie. It's been really good. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone. Wherever you're on, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, follow, subscribe, everything. Show some support if you've enjoyed it this evening. Thank you again for watching and listening. Goodbye.